Figure this you ain't even a thought. I was looking at my list of video ideas since most of them needed quite a bit of researching. Why not do this video? Because I don't have that much time this week. And I'm lazy. Before diving into that pussy, this is how I'm gonna rank them based off of 1. The animation, of course, and 2. The content itself, how good or bad their shows are, or just mainly their track record on the good and bad. Lastly, consistency on those 2 aspects. Of course, this ranking is my subjective opinion mostly. You can disagree or agree on some stuff, or all of them. Also, not all of the studios are here because I don't want to make the video long, and some studios I just haven't watched much of their work. So if you want a second part, subscribe. Smash that like button. Madhouse, their track record of shows is really good. They were poppin' in the 90s, 20s, early 2010s, but they kind of slowed down these past few years. Of course, Frieren blew up. Finally, the Fukushi line got a show as popular as One Punch Man, but still acts as a passion project. Animation, they're a bit inconsistent. If you don't factor in Fukushi's production line, it is gonna be less impressive. But then again, they definitely were the kings in the 90s, still was a powerhouse studio for a while, although when they started caring less and less about passion projects, Mario was like, meow. A tier. Doga Kobo kind of changed their trajectory. It's now adapting more very popular mangas and light novel, but the part they had to sacrifice is that it's plagued with production issues. By the way, I'm not factoring in like working conditions or like scheduling. That wouldn't make sense. I love shows like New Game, Tada-kun Falls in Love, Nozaki-kun, and a lot more. Same goes for the current Doga Kobo. I love most of their shows. Moe shows were their genre. Same goes for romances. It's definitely a studio that wasn't that popular back then, but you've definitely seen some memes or gifs or just scenes from their shows. The level of adaptation is overall consistent. Same goes for their quality. They have a very good in-house system. That's why the quality is always consistent. I do think having a really good in-house compositing team can really make their output more consistent. Again, Doga Kobo is one of those studios where 9 times out of 10, if a show is produced by them, I'll watch it. I'm not saying every show by them is good. There's some that was pretty underwhelming and some that I just didn't really enjoy. But overall, Moe, I'm not doing that. A tier. Studio Deen. Now, I actually haven't watched much from Studio Deen. Of course, they are a studio that doesn't really sit that well with viewers. The quality most of the time can be below average, or even worse, picking a project then just giving it to another studio. Most of their recent examples of good-looking projects being the first 2 seasons of Konosuba and Gimai Seikatsu was just because of the absolute talent of the director, making them visually and directorially, I don't know if that's a word, appealing. Back then, Deen actually had a good track record with Higurashi and Angel Egg that I've watched, Rurouni Kenshin, Ranma, and Fruit Basket. Even if the shows doesn't look good, it was still a good show. D tier. A1 Pictures has been a very interesting studio. They don't have the best reputation because they just adapt everything back then and basically made the generic Kirito looking face, hairline more popular. I wish I was Kirito. Since then, they quote-unquote fixed their reputation with shows like Kaguya, 86, and Makeine. But for me, I've always been an A1 stan. They made my favorite anime of all time, Your Lie in April, and others like Anohana. I feel like their quality is always above average, mostly consistently good sometimes, a bit too good, I might say. Even if Aniplex rushed the fuck out of them, they still deliver. They're one of the studios that produce like overall my type of shows that I usually just watch. They fostered a really good in-house staff, displaying it with the recent aired Makeine. And Peak. S tier. Trigger. The track record of shows that I've watched is a mixed bag. I think Edgerunners was fine, and I really couldn't get invested with Dungeon Meshi, while the Gridman series is amazing, the best mecha show for me, and I've watched some mecha shows. Same goes with Little Witch Academia. There's distinct style that they've harbored for years, back even from the Gynek days, with some of the best Kandida style artists in the industry. Please get Kai Ikarashi a series director role. Please. Their over-the-top nature that they have really set their identity of what the studio is. If they give Ikarashi the director's chair, and I'm not talking about episode director, A. But for now, B. Well. If it is an Otsuka production, again, working conditions and such is not a factor. If it was, then they'll go with, I don't know, queen bee down here. I actually didn't like a lot of their shows from the first few. Some just felt like it wasn't my taste. Some was average. Some are just trash. After that, when the Seshimo line started picking up Chainsaw Man and JJK, loved both shows. Of course, I have a favorite one. Same goes for like AOT, Dororo, etc. And an underrated one, Zombieland Saga, because I like idols. Of course, talking about MAPPA, the animation is always consistent, although they needed some sacrifices. They can really make some of the best looking shows. Chainsaw Man was just pure realism to its fullest, and JJK was just the stackest of stacks of stuff put in one project, although the schedule didn't really allow them to go all out. Overall, the show that they do can varies between good or bad, but I gotta put them in A tier for their recent shows. Bones made a wide range of shows, some of them very popular. Like in my opinion, their shows can again be good and bad. There's definitely more good, but I know if I watch some of the shows like Darker Than Black or Zetsuen no Tempest, I usually don't enjoy those type of shows. Of course, they've made bangers like FMAB, Mob, My Hero, and a lot more, and their animation is mostly consistently good. Maybe some outliers, and my man Utapon is there, but overall, B tier. Now, some people know I fucking love KyoAni. They made some of my favorite animes like Violet Evergarden and my top 3, Hibike Euphonium. God, I love that show. I don't really hate much KyoAni shows. I've watched mostly all of them besides like Free, Surune, and like the other ones that they did. Maybe like Phantom World and Nichijou wasn't the best for me, but all in all, I love most of their shows. I mean, come on, animation wise, they're the kings of consistency. They barely drop in quality. They've made some of the best visually stunning shows, and even back then, they made this type of art style look good. I'm not saying this art style is usually trash, no. They don't animate surrealness or spectacles. It's more consistently on everything, moving background characters, audio visuals, subtle character acting, everything. I'm gonna put a tier above S tier, and that is studios that can make me I'll call it Kami tier. Nice. Silverlink is an interesting case because they just pop out a lot of shows, mostly isekai, fantasy, and some romances. It's mostly just trashy shows that you enjoy. I've watched quite a bit of them, but shows like Kokoro Connect and Non Non Buri are definitely the stuff that stood out in terms of just not a generic looking show. Also, A Sister's All I Need is goated if you don't like overly fan service shows. A very wet one at that. Don't watch it, but my god, I love that show. I do think the visual style that they have now compared to the previous style that they have with a more cleaner look, I guess you can say. I prefer their old style. Take like Masamune no Revenge. Both seasons had the same stuff basically, but visually it looked different. There was a big gap, so the visual that Silverlink has right now was the season 2 style. Overall, back then B, now C. Ufotable is known to be that studio that can really elevate the source material. Their usage of 3D is some of the best, really utilizing to make some very dynamic action and very complex looking backgrounds. But again, we gotta factor in the stuff that they've produced. If this is just animation, then S tier no doubt. But content wise or projects wise, I've actually only watched the popular ones like Fate, Demon Slayer, Garden of Sinners, Demon Slayer. Like their other stuff like God Eater and such, I haven't watched them, but doesn't really pique my interest. They don't really have much shows like A1 or KyoAni that I enjoy. They just have a selection of shows, 2 or 3 at that. That's really good. And for some people, this might trigger them. B tier. They also committed money laundering. I'm joking, that doesn't count to anything. Now, again, if you count only animation, they get like a B. Maybe I'm a bit biased, C. But 3 out of my 13 10 out of 10s is by JC stuff. Sakura So, Railgun T, and Toradora. Wow, I thought Toradora was mid. Shut up. Yes, their animation wavers a lot because they prioritize quantity over quality. It's sometimes average, below average, or really fucking good looking like Railgun, Danmachi, One Punch Man Season 2, even if they were severely handicapped. And mostly their early shows like the mid-20s or 2010s. It's a studio that I've watched a shit ton of their work. Their in-house animators are also amazing, Kenichiro Aoki, Yuji Suzuki, and more. Since I am a bit biased for them, A tier. People are gonna get triggered when they see Ufotables below JC stuff. Deal with it. Cloverworks had let's say unbonerified adaptations they flopped. They did season 2 of Promised Neverland, Dirty, and Wonder Egg Priority. Of course, there's other factors, not just the studio's fault. Unfortunate, but after that, they kept making peak after peak after peak. It's a pleasant thing if your favorite manga or light novel gets adapted by them. Their animation is consistent as hell, even if it's not by the Umehara line or Fukushi's line. Overall, it will still look good. They fumbled some very popular and interesting shows that had a lot of potential. Then again, A tier. Pierrot is a bit Shiba. We like my Korean guys. Shibauseki. They made some of the most popular IPs in anime, 2 of them being the big 3. I mean, for me, if you put Bleach, Black Clover, and Naruto, I'll pick Black Clover as the best one. Animation can be very inconsistent. They are notorious to fumble adaptation or just making scenes a bit underwhelming. Of course, their motto was long-running series, but in today's industry, you can't do that anymore probably. They did Akudama Drive, that was an interesting show, and Yu Yu Hakusho, probably like the few 90s anime that I actually liked. But for Pierrot, D tier. 8-bit has been pretty all over the place. Their adaptations of Blue Lock was because the schedule is horrible. I still don't get what the committee was thinking. They produced some other shows like Slime, my favorite isekai for now, the Grisaya series, and a lot more. Although I don't really like most of their shows, the animation can be inconsistent. You can have something as beautiful as Yamano Susume. I need to watch that because visually it's probably one of the best looking slice of life style shows. Or you can get something really good like Slime, or bad like the second half of Blue Lock. You might think the studio is very low. I think I see a lot of potential in them if you give them actual time. B tier. Again, I can't do every studio. If you want a part 2, lick my fucking feet. If you guys like this video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a like. Comment down below what your thoughts on anime studios. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time.